Jalen, what's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from practice?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately, my ankle like completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with. But just try to stay positive best I can. And but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot. And people don't always realize. I mean, people that are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, like when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So I've spent so much time here in this building this season, just trying to get healthy and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, if I never was, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done. And there was no decision of like this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning, and I think in a way that was probably positive for me because that's how I approached every single day. I came in here like I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. Um, but you just approach it like every single day you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. Like that work doesn't stop, and I think it's just I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of too.
I can't wait to just feel. Obviously there's been a lot kind of going on this week.
What?
You may have heard some things. Wanted to see after Nafisa's comments and what she alleged that Kathy Engelberg had said specifically about you, what your thoughts were on that and kind of follow up.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history, where this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think Fee said it all, what she said, and the points she made were.
Had you heard that story from her before said publicly? And then have you spoken with Kathy Engelberg or her at all?
With Chloe, then we'll jump over to Lou. What's Chloe's done?
And just with working back full health, Steph mentioned that it was kind of baby steps and getting back and making sure you don't lose. But what are your plans for the off season? Possibly playing or just good work?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose kind of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. There's some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for. And I need to be able to find some runs and some ways to play 5-on-5 just so I can kind of get that feel back. And but more than anything, I think my main focus is really just getting my body healthy. And once we get back to 5-on-5, like just being able to test my body and make sure I know it's in a good spot, it's going to be able to help hold up with everything that we think we've corrected, everything we've worked on, to be able to know I'm in a really good spot there. And when you go through injuries, especially in my scenario where it's been a few of the reoccurring kind of bouncing around, which isn't necessarily uncommon in my situation just because of compensation, and when you're dealing with things in that groin area, that just is kind of how it can go sometimes. I think it's important that you can become confident in your body again, and that's for anybody that goes through injury. So that's probably going to be my main focus is just feeling 100% again, and then obviously having that confidence in my body too.
We'll go to Lou and then to Josh.
Right here. I'm continuing on what Chloe asked. How close are you to that 100% and being able to do the 5 on 5? I don't think you haven't played any 5 on 5. Yeah, or
Yeah,
so
I think that's probably where people struggle to understand at times is there is a huge difference in me standing there and shooting spot shots and running up and down. But in a basketball game, like I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm planting here, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Like you're just doing it. So your muscles need to be able to react and withstand that type of stuff. So that's where the 5 on 5 becomes really critical. And then obviously the contact piece of it too. Like you don't know where you're going to be taking contact from, but you know, my goal it was the end of October to kind of be out there and trying to get back to playing 5 on 5, and I think that's a very reasonable thing for me. And you know, I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can, and you know that's how it's always kind of just been for me. Like I love the work, I love putting in the work, and you know it's been difficult not being able to like see the time you put in, being able to put on your jersey and see it pay off. But I think, like I said, I think it's been a really good opportunity for me to learn a lot about myself and, you know, certain lessons that will probably be really important throughout my career as well.
So Josh, then Brian.
Steph talked about AB just being the rock of this team. I'm just interested how her friendship helped you get through the rough mental times throughout the season.
I mean, I think it's obviously AB's tremendous. Like we've always had a great relationship, and that's what exactly you need between your post and your point guard. And she's always been somebody that's been there to check in and pick me up. But I think that goes for our entire team, and I think that speaks for our entire season. I don't think it would be, you know, I don't think we would have had the type of success that we had if it wasn't for the friendship or the empathy people showed one another or the next man up mentality. Like that was shown across the board in our locker room, whether it was, you know, for myself or whether it was for somebody that came in mid-season and got hurt. Like it was always the same. Like you always care for your teammates in the same manner. So, you know, obviously AB was tremendous in that role, and I think she had an incredible year. But honestly, our entire roster really excelled in that area.
With respect to your recovery, looking down the line, have you explored opportunities maybe to play 5 on 5 during your offseason as part of kind of that ramp up so that you're ready for next season to play actual basketball before things start up again in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always explore every opportunity, and I haven't made any decisions, and I don't know, you know, what that's necessarily going to look like for me. Like I said, there's some USA basketball stuff that is probably my top priority right now that I need to prepare for, and I think that will help me prepare for next season too. Um, but obviously, then you have to prepare for USA basketball in some manner. So that you know, there's just a lot of different things you got to figure out and balance, and you know, I'll work through a lot of that too.
I will go Claire and then Elliot.
With you know, FIBA playoff run, big playoff run, WNBA All-Star, NBA All-Star, arguably all here in Indy. Tell us what it means to you, like here, and what makes Indy so special.
Yeah, I mean, this place is incredible. And I think you've heard so many people talk about it over the course of the last few weeks, whether it's the Colts, whether it's Pacers, whether it's been our players. You know, it's just incredible. It's in a way, it almost feels like a college, like a university, like all the teams are supporting each other, and like you don't get that in professional sports really. But like you have that here, and I think that just speaks like I always say, like, obviously I'm from Iowa, like Indianapolis, I understand it's a big city, but it doesn't really feel that way to me. Like it's a very close-knit group, like everybody supports one another, but then you have the professional sports teams, and that's what everybody's most passionate about here. And that's what I love about it. You know, people really show up. This is their a lot of these fans, like these have been their teams since they've been 5 years old. This is all they've known. These are the only teams they've cheered for. And you know, to have this type of success across the board. Obviously, the Colts have had an amazing start to their season, and Pacers won last year, and everything we've been able to persevere and you know reach the WNBA semifinals. Like it's a really special time in this city, and you know I can't imagine myself in a better place. And just really fortunate to have you know made different friendships with different athletes across the city, and just have the support from not only the city but the state as a whole.
Go Elliot and then Brad in the room. Then I'm gonna try to jump into Zoom quickly.
Hey, good. There.
Sorry.
I'm finished, by the way. Anticipating NBA, played an NBA Paris game,
Yeah.
and there is some also the NCAA games in Paris.
Mhm.
What would you like to see at WNBA Paris games?
I would go. I would anywhere. I think that would be, as I said earlier, like we're in a moment in time where, you know, the WNBA has never been hotter. There's never been more fans. There's never been more international fans of the game. And that's where you can really grow is in the international space. And I think the NBA has done a tremendous job of that. And, you know, I would love to go play over there. You know, I think it'd be really fun. I think it, you know, obviously there's quite a few, you know, obviously if it's in Paris, there's some great French players on other teams as well that could make it exciting. Obviously the Pacers played Wemby over there and I know they had an amazing time getting to do that. So I would be very open to that. I think it would be, you know, great for the league to, you know, try that out, see how it goes and pretty positive it would go well. So
Brett?
Caitlin, this was not an ideal situation for you this season, but how much of an element of basketball learning were you able to get in having an extended period to just sit and watch and be in the huddle and almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season?
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means. But, you know, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, you know, when I get a few years down here in my career, like I think this is a moment and a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, you know, it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not gonna lie, there was certainly some hard days, but, you know, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. You know, when you're in the heat of battle, it's your emotions are high and you know, you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people. And, you know, I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, you know, how can I show up every single day and, you know, pour into them and be there for them, but also, you know, going forward down the road, like if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them because it is an incredibly isolating thing and you don't realize that until you go through it. And, you know, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
We're gonna jump over to Zoom, go to Malika Andrews.
Hi, Caitlin. I'm really glad to hear that you are on the mend here. I'm not sure how to turn on my camera, so I'll just keep going. We've heard from a lot of players in the last couple of days that more good leadership, great leadership is what is needed. I'm curious in your mind, what is great leadership? What do you hope happens from here?
I mean, I think over the course of my career, and obviously you always want to become a better leader. And I think I've been around a lot of really good leaders in my life. And I've been very fortunate and able to learn from those people. And I'm trying to learn and grow every single day as a leader too. And I think for me, and I've said this many times, it is all about relationships. And that's the truth. And I know that's really hard to say in professional sports, but you know, whether it's a relationship with your front office, whether it's a relationship with commissioner of the league, whether it's a relationship with your teammates, like that's the most important thing in leadership. Why would my teammates want to listen to me if I didn't have a relationship with them? Like I think it's the most simple thing and you have to be very intentional about seeking those out and understanding your teammates. Like everybody in professional sports comes from different walks of life and you have to be able to know why they are who they are. Like I think that's super important and being intentional about that. So I think that's something I try to continue to improve in my daily life every single day, whether it's obviously, you know, as a part of the Indiana Fever organization or whether it's as a friend or a family member, you know, relationships are very important for me as a person. So I would just say, you know, for me, I'd say the most important part of leadership, whether that's the WNBA, whether that's corporate America. I think it comes down to relationships and really caring about the people you surround yourself with.
So I should have been more specific. That's what you're hoping for from the league office when you say great leadership. You're hoping for that relationship-based great leadership.
Sure.
All right, we'll go one more on Zoom with Maddie Kenny, and then we're gonna probably wrap up in the room with Brian.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up on a question that Alexa asked about, what Fee said, the story involving you, specifically, and your popularity as a player obviously skyrocketed when you were in college and you had a lot of NIL opportunities and stuff. So I guess when you heard that, like, what was your reaction? Because it came off a little dismissive to your own brand and like your own individual brand power, I guess.
I think that's probably the way in which the league has probably changed over the course of the last few years. These kids and what they're making in college these days is it's pretty insane. It's honestly probably more than what I made. Obviously, a lot has changed even since I graduated. So I'm not 100% up to date on the exact numbers of what college kids are making. But, obviously, I was very fortunate after my freshman year of college. That's when I began working with, different brands and began working with Nike. And, everybody knows my first NIL deal was with Hy-Vee, greatest grocery chain of all time, based in Des Moines, Iowa, baby. So best chocolate long johns around. But, I think that's the way in which, people, young women are coming into this league now with that type of, I don't even want to say it's money, but they're beginning to build their brands in college and then they're bringing that to the WNBA. So I think that's just a way in which the league has changed and will continue to evolve. And back to my main point, like I said, we are in the biggest moment in WNBA history. There's no denying that. Everybody knows that. And everybody that's in a place of power has a true responsibility. And even myself, we have a responsibility to make sure that this game is in a great place going forward with the CBA and, caring for our players and, building this league to make sure it's in a great spot for many years to come, because you all know I grew up as a huge fan of this league, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this the league that, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a girl in college is really proud of to come into and to be able to put a WNBA uniform on it. That's what they dream of, and then hopefully they can accomplish that goal, because that's exactly who I was, and that's, really at the end of the day, I hope that's what my legacy can be, is just how I impacted people to be able to maybe want to be in the WNBA, but to really just achieve whatever they want to achieve. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there on your question, but yeah, that's all I got for you.
Last one with Brian.
Lexi Hall and the way that she kind of found her game a little bit offensively there later. I'm curious what you saw from her just in terms of her development and how she adjusted to the way being different with her.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lexi is obviously, as you guys know, she's one of my good friends. I don't really have many bad things to say about her. But every team in this league should want a Lexi Holt type of player on their team. That's just never once have I seen her be disappointed in the amount she played. And I was here at the beginning of last year when she was getting DNPs, and was the exact same person as she is right now. As probably she turned into our third option offensively because we lost so many players, but also she embraced that and she worked for that and she wanted to be in that moment. And I think she's really flourished and her game has improved quite a bit. She's always been such a tenacious defender, and obviously you all know she's had some back troubles throughout the end of this playoffs here. And I'm like, Lex, you just play reckless. You're good. I was holding my breath those last few games, but that literally just sums up the type of person she is. She's selfless. She's gonna go out there, she's gonna lay it all on the line for this team. There was never a doubt in her mind if she was ever gonna play a game in the playoffs where she had pain. She was going out there and she was gonna play. There was no question. And that really just sums up who she is. And we're really fortunate to have her as a part of our organization, and hope it's like that for many years to come too.
All right, we're gonna wrap up there. I know there's a lot of questions, but I've already got Caitlin about 8 minutes late for her next meeting. So
make sure you listen to the show girls at night. And